So, if you've been out and about, chances are you've heard about Iran about 50 million times the last few weeks. But you're probably wondering, what's actually happening? Why are we involved? Are we about to enter World War III? And didn't we bomb them last year or something? Well, I'm here to answer all those things in this episode of Full News. Just to give you a bit of an overview, in 1979, the Western-backed Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was forced out by the Islamic Republic. This led to the displacement of millions of Iranians due to the sharp change in political, societal, and religious views in Iran. That was the start of a negative relationship between the West and Iran. Moving to present day, Iran has been the biggest opposition towards Israel, funding groups such as Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon. There's no two ways about it. These guys aren't angels. And so, as expected, Israel wasn't exactly happy about their largest hater next door. And so for the last 40 years, have had a very sour relationship. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, Ishraq, so where's the threat to the West? Like, we hear you saying Iran, Israel, Lebanon, but like, how does this affect us? And I'll be real, it doesn't. Almost all of Iran's terror-funded groups committed their atrocities within the Middle East. The terrorist group you see on the news, such as ISIS, are actually the biggest opponents of Iran due to their differences in religion and ideology. Okay, so why is the US involved? Well, to put it simply, it's due to political alliance with Israel. Iran is a threat to Israel, there's no doubt about that. And so for the past decades, Israel has been trying to convince the West to intervene in Iran's nuclear program. There's this famous clip of Bibi at the UN in 2012 with this highly detailed chart showcasing how Iran was an imminent threat.
So how much enriched uranium do you need for a bomb? And how close is Iran to getting it? Well, let me show you. Brought a diagram for you. Here's a diagram. This is a bomb. This is a fuse. In the case of Iran's nuclear plans to build a bomb, this bomb has to be filled with enough enriched uranium. And Iran has to go through 3 stages. Where's Iran? Iran's completed the first stage. Now they're well into the second stage. And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. If these are the facts, and they are, where should a red line be drawn? A red line should be drawn right here. Before Iran completes the second stage of nuclear enrichment necessary to make a bomb.
Mate, there's 3-year-olds in North Korea who can draw better nukes than this guy. And yeah, as far as I remember, there were no nukes launched by Iran in 2013 or 2014. To add that, in 2015, Iran signed the JCPOA, an agreement that would effectively allow for the limiting of Iran's nuclear capability, whilst also allowing for monitoring by the West. This agreement was signed by Iran, the US, UK, Russia, Germany, France, and even China. I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear that Israel was one of the few nations that were against this agreement. Oh, and guess who else withdrew from the agreement? If you guessed the modern day Jesus, then you are correct, as in 2018, Trump with a genius level IQ decided it was not a good deal and pulled out, just like I hoped his dad did in 46. And this would be the trigger for the so-called modern day threat of Iran's nuclear program. Last year, if you recall, Israel bombed Iranian military bases and nuclear facilities in what was called the so-called 12-day war. And at the time, Bibi was happily exclaiming victory, and so the public would think that's it. Surely the threat of Iran nuking the world has been eradicated. But nope, Apparently our Western leaders can't get enough, as again this year Bibi was claiming that Iran was going to be involved in imminent attacks and that US lives would be in danger. And guess what? We fell for it again. You might say it's a conspiracy, and yet here we have Secretary of State Marco Rubio pretty much admitting the US is involved this time because of Israeli intelligence.
And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
And what I presumed the US and Israel thought would be a quick in and out job has now lasted 49 days as of making this video. With Iran now controlling the Strait of Hormuz, the only passage from the Persian Gulf to the open ocean, Iran has effectively got the oil market in a chokehold, as they haven't closed the passage, but have controlled which countries can enter and exit. And to, I'm sure everyone's surprise, the US isn't one of those countries, and same with Israel. My one of many concerns is as this war progresses, whether further escalation could occur, which could lead to a US ground invasion. I mean, I feel like we should have learned after Iraq, and to send innocent young men into this region for another country's objectives is quite frankly insane. But yeah, that's about it for today's Full News.